I had my first, I did my first makeup design for Troupe doing Charlie Brown. We did Charlie Brown, and that was my first time to be on the design crew when I was the makeup designer for that. And then also in Beauty and the Beast, it was really fun because there was we had to transform the prince from the Beast and the Beast from the prince in like 30 seconds on stage. So I was like on stage hiding behind a piece of furniture and this is going to sound really bad, stripping the Beast practically in a blackout, and then the lights came back on and he was the prince. That was one of the funniest times because you're really panicked, but you had to get it done, and it was really funny because you didn't know what was going to come off and what wasn't going to come off. So, yes, that's probably one of my fondest memories so far.
Rock and Rollville. It was a big memory. That was so much fun. It was taking a show from nothing and just building it into something. It was, we had like a list of songs and we'd have to write a story around them and then perform that story. That was the most fun. And we went, we had little trips that we would take to, I can't remember the place. But we would take these trips and we would spend all day and all night working on this. And you build some serious friendships on these trips because you argue and you fight for what you think is good, and then you come out and you have this beautiful thing that you've made together. And those friendships, we still talk about that. My best friends came from that. I'll still talk about certain New York trips with Ashley, who you also interviewed. We talk about this trip to the AIDS hospice all the time. I used that for my college entrance exam. I remember that was like a serious life-changing experience.
What was that?
The AIDS hospice, it was, we sang for some AIDS patients. And we ended the show with Seasons of Love. And we were these young teenagers singing, and we singing Seasons of Love to AIDS patients. It completely blew our minds because we'd sung that song a million times before. We would end a lot of our shows with that song, but that was the first time we actually got what it meant, And we were staring out at these people that understood those words better than we could ever have, and they gave us roses at the end and we were all crying, and we were just all messes by the end, but it was a huge experience.
I'm not gonna say anything terrible here. My biggest, one of the memories that I will never ever be able to let go was that first trip to New York. We had the Big Apple class of, I don't even remember what class, it was like so long ago now. The group of people we had on that trip, the preparation that went into the trip, we had these routines that we worked through over and over. We had these bright blue, crazy, shiny jackets that we had to wear everywhere. And I remember thinking, this is the most absurd thing I've ever worn in my life. And we had so much fun. It was 7 days. We saw 10 Broadway shows. It was my first time ever in New York City, and I remember walking around in Times Square and just in awe, oh my gosh, I'm here, and I'm, getting to do these performances was absolutely amazing. In that same trip, one of the things that I would say definitely changed my life and changed what I do now, we went to a hospice and we performed for people who were HIV positive, potentially had 7 to 8 months to live. And we sang No Day Like Today, and then we sang the Seasons of Love song. And it's all about appreciating life and appreciating the moment. And I think as kids, we were doing that and we had this realization, oh my gosh, the people we're singing to, this is their life. They are feeling this song way more than we could ever appreciate it. And I think about that moment in time where I knew we made those people in that room so happy that day. And I think about how that's sort of what I do now to some degree, sitting down with people who are in desperate times, who maybe have never had someone make them smile. And I'm like, that moment and the feeling I had then, I feel like that influenced me many, many, many years down the line. But very special.
I thought it was incredible. I just remember lugging around that gosh darn gray thing, that big old speaker, lugging that around. But you know, yeah, that was actually really cool. I still remember MA singing Old Man River. One of the guys there came up to him, and it was so cool because he must have been like 83 years old. He walked up, you know, to him and was like, you know, I love that song. Maybe I can do that too. I don't know what everybody else took from it, but I took that moment when MA smiled. I was like, oh yeah, really? He hadn't said another word. He just started singing Old Man River. And like everybody was moved. It wasn't the greatest. He wasn't the greatest singer in the world, but there was something to it. It's kind of like Johnny Cash singing that 9 Inch Nails song. I hurt myself today to it. And it was just so real. And again, I'm more of an emotional, so I can remember emotions.
Oh.
Not memories.
Oh man, just all the, well, you know,
there has to be a lot.
Yeah, there's just so many, you know, there's a bunch of crazy characters with this organization, but it wouldn't be this organization if it weren't for the crazy characters. So that's something that will never change, I hope never changes. Best memory, I guess, was just the very first show I did, was I'll Be Home for Christmas, which is just a great, you know, a seasonal show every Christmas. And I just went in and sang basically just one song by myself, and it was I'll Be Home for Christmas. But this year we did a different take on it, me being a soldier, singing about, you know, a soldier being over in, you know, Iraq or wherever you might be, singing I'll Be Home for Christmas, you know, even though he won't be in his hometown, you know, wherever that might be in America. But I thought that had a pretty big impact on some of the folks there in the audience, and it had a big impact on me just knowing about my friends in the military.